All right, I do believe we're live. I'm going to wait a few minutes for a couple of people to show up. I know it's Saturday. Today I've got some interesting news, but before we get into all that, I'm going to do a few introductions, and we're going to do also some updates, I guess, for our company. So I am the owner of Section8Consulting.com. We work with about 700 to 1,000 clients a year to help you navigate the system, help and assist with issues with landlords, housing authorities, and other issues. Beyond that, the updates I want to give is for Thanksgiving week, which is coming up. Our office will be closed 23rd, 24th as normal. We're still accepting appointments those days, but we're not going to be accepting calls on casework for that. Okay. And the last update is I just want to give those of you that are big followers of the channel and all those cats that I have. Well, those that don't know, I have 22 cats, and take care of all those. And I want to tell you an interesting story real quick, and then we'll get to the meat of the video. But son Orange Tabby shows up at our office, and she came fully loaded, I guess, with kittens, and we're expecting, I guess, well, wouldn't it be interesting if it happened Christmas days? But I know at this point, this has to be the last cats we accept. That would put our numbers around 25. And for those that don't know, that's a rather horrendous bill every month with all the vet costs. All right, guys, for years, we've been talking about the many different ways that housing authorities, how we interact with them, and the loopholes that are out there. And I think a lot of people kind of misjudge that situation, and whether or not you'd be able to yield a voucher very quickly, and whether or not the many different stories and myths that we hear over the years are true. While I'm talking about that, I'm going to attempt to put on a little bit of holiday instrumental music here. If y'all can hear it, let me know. If not, then it's a failed experiment. All right, so I'm going to tune that up real quick, and hopefully that doesn't impede the sound. All right, so, it took a news agency approximately 20 years to figure out exactly what I knew 22 years ago. And there are a lot of different types of loopholes that would allow you to get a voucher fairly quickly. Tune that now. That's not too loud. So one story I want to tell you about is NBC. Their investigators of youth reporters found that a loophole allowed hundreds of families to skip Philly Housing Authority's waiting list. I find it rather interesting read, and I'm going to link y'all up to that so you can see it. I'll drop that link right here in live chat. For those who don't know, this is a live chat. You can chat with me so long as this video is still going, and it'll be over probably in about a half hour. All right, so beyond that, so they found between 2017 more than 1,700 families had been able to get Section 8 housing in Philly using a loophole in the federal housing system. And delaying the housing authority residents, pretty much they skipped past a bunch of people who've been waiting the typical 8 to 15 years. And so I want to tell you how that works. And what that is one of the tactics that our company deploys among many. I tell you, a lot of this stuff's proprietary. Share too much, then you get people that would probably abuse these types of things. So I don't mind sharing this one since it's already public. So with portability, a lot of people have an understanding that you're applying. You don't just have to. You don't have to necessarily just apply for housing authorities local to you in your zip code in your county. You may apply in all housing authorities. Now, some of them have a local preference, which means that there's a percentage where you can be ranked higher, 5%, 10%, maybe 15%, if you live within the jurisdiction of that particular housing authority. But that alone isn't going to do much. So when you're applying, you can apply a wide variety of housing authorities in every county across the state or a bunch across the U.S. And if you're granted that voucher, then you can initiate instant portability, which I mean within days. And that would allow you to acquire the voucher and move into the county where the costs are much lower. And so when you do the portability process, how the magic works is when you port into the city, you just get past everybody that's already applied in that city. It moves you right to the top, and you're instantly ready to go from there. So again, to kind of rewind that, because I might have explained that in a more complicated way than I should have. You're applying at a housing authority, say in Florida. and they're wanting to grant that voucher, and then you initiate portability into another city where there's a fantastically long waiting line. But because you're porting in, you get skipped straight to the top. Okay, as simple as I can put it. You go straight to the top. Now, does that work every time? No. About 30% of the time, it does not. A lot of housing authorities do not want to do billing and absorbing. So that brings in a new topic about billing and absorbing in the portability process. What they call an HUD's manual or HUD's user manual would be portabilities and moves. And it looks like Joanna Maria just commented, "Hello, everyone. How are you? And happy Turkey Day to you." Michelle, Miss Madrid, hello. One expedited move, DV and stalking. Who pays for deposit on a non-subsidized apartment? Well, if it's not subsidized, first of all, deposits are required or denied by landlords. Okay, so there is no system of federal law that says intervenes in deposits. If the landlord has a property they want to rent it to you and they require a deposit, you must pay it. Now, if the deposit is reasonable, there could be some circumstances in which you have to pay it. But in normal circumstances, regardless of HUD or voucher or any other federal system, if there is a deposit there, like any normal paying person, you'd have to pay that deposit. Okay? Good Redmond, still picking up what you're putting down. Still understandable. Thank you. Is anybody actually hearing this damn Christmas music? It's instrumental, and I'm just dying to know whether or not this microphone's actually picking it up. So if you're here, I'm going to turn it up a little bit. How about now? Might be a slight delay. I've got to give the gab. I can talk all day, but one thing that I'm still working on is trying to understand all the different technologies for video and putting another person inside the video when they're back across the state. So some of the stuff I'm still struggling with. Anyways, Joanne Maria, happy Turkey Day to you. So what? That's the great part is that's one of about 13, possibly 15 different loopholes that I'm aware of. And you don't have to call a loophole. Sometimes people will underwrite policies and procedures and use data manuals, and they create gaping holes in there. For those that are quick-minded and well-read, you might be able to find this particular loopholes. In my case, I've been a career of it over 22 years. When you find a manual, you're reading it in reverse, you're looking for those holes. And when you find those holes, then you can make sure that your clients you're able to walk them successfully through it. One of the bigger feats over the years through Section8Consulting.com is, reading policies and procedures, understanding how these policies are federal level, how they're administered to the client, and then being able to reverse that to benefit the client. So it's not fraud. It certainly just means that somebody made a big mistake in writing federal policy, and even those that underwrite these policies as an independent company, like Individuals underwrites a lot of policies and procedures for housing authorities around America. So, anyways, going on. So some people have figured out portability. It's one that's good, but again, one of the things about portability is you can't get portability until you get the voucher first. And so there are some definite inaccuracies with their investigators, which are actually just reporters for NBC. And if I had to take a wild guess, if I and my company have made over 600, possibly 700 videos over a decade, and these folks were investigating, I would say that the stimulating factor for that story was that they watched one of, more than likely, 70% guess on that. They picked up one of the videos, and one of the things that was talking about was portability in that hustle. About making that story. We get contacted by a lot of news agents. Matter of fact, I just got contacted. Let me turn this music down. Y'all can't hear it, but I can. So I think it's University of Arizona. Their department for news over there reached out, and they're going to be publishing the original article that it's spoken about, I think, about a year ago. So we do have a lot of different agencies that reach out to us, ask us about the different opinions as far as housing vouchers in the market, whether or not stable whether or not it's fair. A lot of it's addressing issues of discrimination and other unfair and reasonable practices that are inflicted by PHAs or public housing authorities. So, all right, moving on down. Mr. Pink, can you please explain cost of environment definition? Rachel, this video is not the time to go into complicated explanations of federal law. I'm sorry. I know you want to ask these questions. It would be more appropriate, Rachel, just book an appointment with our company. I'd be happy to talk to you about federal law and great length and provide the information you want, but I can't do this in one video. Obviously, I want you guys to ask questions, but when you want me to verbatim title and code of federal regulation, this ain't the place for it. It's not at all. Joanna Marie, Jay, if you're already a Section 8 voucher recipient and receive SSDI, will you get an apartment quickly from your landlord? Well, I don't see any correlation between the two, to be frank with you. However, if you have a voucher, then you have a voucher. If the landlord decides they want to accept you as a tenant and you're successfully looking at enough places, then the likelihood of you getting it is just the likelihood of you getting it based on your own effort, your own statement. Now, I do realize what you're saying, and I tell this to a lot of my landlords, and I have many of them across the country, especially California, that we have a tendency to approve more applications for people that have two things at one time. One is called a government voucher, and the other one's called a government check. So security, retirement benefits, and all that. Why? Because those clients have a higher success rate at being able to pay rent. Why? They're being subsidized by federal voucher, and they're also receiving a check from the Social Security Administration for disability, Social Security, so on. So in reality, in a very biased way, many apartment owners and complexes and so on will consider those with both Social Security checks and a voucher to the top of the consideration before those with jobs. Let's just be honest, okay? Why? Because it's almost a near guarantee. Why? Because a Social Security check and a disability check is not going to dry up. It's always there. So it's a voucher. So your thought process is correct. All right, take a sip of my Starbucks here, and no, I'm not sponsoring. Good Redmond. Might be wise to turn down or off the background music. It's starting to make your voice drown out. All right, I agree. All right, so yeah, Neil Ace says greed, and I don't even know in reference to what he necessarily saying greed's about, but I would imagine it might be in reference to a comment I made. So we'll find out. Mr. Ace, Mr. or Mrs. Ace, why don't you explain what you mean by greed? A lot to that in this world. Every time you use your credit card, the government will issue that card is full of greed, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and post the link again for the news article for the loophole that people have been using to acquire vouchers very quickly and jump ahead of everybody else. It'll help you a little bit. Mr. and Mrs. Ace has greed the music. Well, I truly don't understand your context now. It's greedy to put music on, so I have no idea. Well, guys, our offices again will be closed to calls for those of you that have casework with us for most of next week, except for Monday and Tuesday, and we'll be closed for Thanksgiving and so on. You can still book appointments in those days, and I'll still honor them because I made a terrible mistake on blocking them off this year. That's my error, but usually that goes very quickly. And well, happy Thanksgiving for those that enjoy that holiday, or happy Turkey Day if you don't. And it looks like we're moving into Christmas. So now the next video that I'm going to make, and I haven't decided whether to be live or not, it's going to be about disabilities and seniors. We're going to discuss some of the federal laws, how that might impact your application, and how you could actually approach that in a better way. Would it be able to help you be able to get combinations and modifications? A lot of you guys are not very clear about combinations and modifications. A lot of you call them office about thinking that, well, I would like a bigger voucher payment. That should be an accommodation. Look, they're never going to, that's not an accommodation. Now, clearly, they can give you an additional room if you had some other medical cause. But again, the request must be reasonable. So I think we need to go over that again. Also, everything that we've talked about this year in 2022, we can take all that, pull out a really big trash bag, and we can throw it all in the trash because of January 1st. A lot of the policies, the procedures, and all the things I've been teaching throughout the year, like every year, go in the trash can. They're going to rewrite a lot of this stuff. So a lot of these videos will all be remade, and we're working from a new book start January 1st. In fact, I'm considering actually rolling out videos early if I can get my hands on enough of these reports, directors reports, data, policies, procedures, and so on. But yep, everything down the toilet again. And the bigger one's going to be when we have a new election. And if we change presidents, then more than likely funding can go up, it can go down, it can be defunded, who knows? And of course, all those policies and things that we've been utilizing will get changed rapidly. So I'm not looking forward to another election. And I'll always kind of grieve the new year because it changes everything fundamentally. We deal with Section 8. So, Joanne Marie says, I'll be using your services when I'm ready. Well, that sounds good to me. I'm certainly glad to help you if that you so desire. And I think we're going to wrap it up. Saturday, I know you guys have a lot to do. It's out here. It's raining. It's cold. And I'm in Houston. So, we don't get cool weather very often, but we have like snow an hour away for some unusual reason. And I think we're just going to try to enjoy the Saturday. So our next video, I think, will be Tuesday. It'll probably be live, and we'll talk about accommodation modification. You guys have got some really bizarre ideas about how that works, how it's administered. It's one of the things that requires a lot of proof, and you either do it right the first time to get the accommodation or modification, or they use that one request that you made and you did wrong to block you from future requests for modification or accommodations. So it's important to make sure that you're actually utilizing proper documentation, that you have a map record, and you actually have a strong case. Because you're only allowed to present really one time. After that, they just laugh at you. All right, guys, enjoy talking with y'all and try to, enjoy your Thanksgiving. And we'll see y'all again one more time for Tuesday, and then we'll move on to a few other videos. All right, thank you. Have a good day. Bye.